What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, June 14th, 2023. Want to take a look at some things real quick. So, Fed Day was pretty uneventful. We dropped pretty hard on whatever news, whatever they said. I don't even know. I haven't looked it up yet. I haven't read anything. Came down, closed the gap, and bounced. What do you know? This is SPX. We can look at ES also. Interestingly, this isn't a line. I haven't had this line on here before, so we'll leave this. This one I have had on here for a little while. Because if you go to, is it the weekly? Yeah. If you go to this weekly chart, now this isn't exact. As you see, it's not exact. I don't remember. It must have been on like a 4-hour time frame. We probably put this line here for a reason. Or maybe I just picked the middle of this gap. But anyway, so on this 4-hour time frame, see, we still have this gap. Technically, this candle close was 43.93.67. Let's adjust our line a little bit. 43.93.67. And of course, you'll hear my fans spooling up again. I apologize about that. If anyone knows of a recording program on Windows, let me know and I'll switch to desktop for this. If you look at this here, so we've adjusted our number 43.93.67, and we can see this breakup candle here, this one here. So the close was 43.92.22. So that's a general area. This one here, this one, the low of this one was 43.95. This candle here, this break up candle, the low was 43.90. So anywhere in this general area, you could make an argument that anywhere between where we closed today is a pivotal area, right? We came up to it, rejected, came up, rejected, came down, bought it up. So let's take a look at these numbers here and we'll see what's going on. And I've got another line up here. I think that one was from here. That would have been December of 2021. So we'll just take this general area and say it's a pivot area. You see, we pivoted here, 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 here. Ultimately, we failed. So let's say in this general area, now in here it came up short, but let's keep an eye on, look, 43.93.67. So yeah, we did get there. We got there. Our line was off a little bit, but yeah, 43 high of day today, 43.91.82. So anywhere in this area, generally, is going to be a reversal. Now, what they could do, but was that today? Yeah, 4-hour chart. What they could do is just open above it, pull back, and then that becomes support. And they can come to our next number up here, 45.50 area, right? It doesn't have to be exact. I don't really do SPX exactly. SPY I do exactly because you can use the 4-hour chart and you can find numbers. So, and I've got a million lines on SPY. That's why we're looking at SPX. But generally, here's what we want to look for. Because everybody wants to short the market right now, right? And so what do? They bought it right back up. They want to trick as many shorts as they can so they can keep going higher. In this pattern, like if you include this in our pattern here, it looks totally legit. right? Have a couple pullback days and then continue higher. So it's very possible that we're at 4,500. I don't think we'd get much above 4,550 without at least pulling back like for a few weeks. So this is possible, but really, unless we like break it on huge volume, which we didn't have any volume today compared to other days, right? So volume wasn't a big deal, but Friday should be some larger volume. As far as these little indicator things, if you want to try to use those, they're still bullish. So, that doesn't really tell us anything. As far as MACD, we're getting higher, but it doesn't mean they can't go higher, right? We can still keep going higher. We're still above this moving average, whatever that means. So, everything's still in a bullish trend, right? So, keeping that in mind, we have options expiration on Friday. So you would expect that there'd be a lot of sideways junk, which would make sense for where we are, that we just fought this area for a couple days. And really, until you take out this low, which it is a red candle, so they likely will retest this area. But until you take out that low, you really can't be thinking short unless we get up here and then break back below it, right? So get in here and then break back below it and it becomes resistance again. Then we know the top is in, and that was it, right? I kind of had a feeling yesterday was the top, and I was totally wrong. So, it's interesting. They have struggled to stay above our line here. Every time they get above it, they sell off. They get above it, they sell off. Get above it, sell off. So, it could be topping, but for that to happen, I would almost rather it come down and then get rejected. So, let's not get overly bearish yet, just because the market's high, because 45.50 is on the table. Switch over to Bookmap. There's really not a whole lot going on right now tonight. So we saw like Fed stuff. We saw this 4,300 area was definitely support, and they ripped it back up. But if you zoom in to what's happening right now, and this is on ES, not SPX. And that's also on ESM contract. So let me switch back to that real quick. ESM, because this hasn't updated yet. Okay, so 43.70 is 71 is where we are right now, right? So we got a little bit of resistance above it, but we still have orders to fill up here. So, getting above 43.75, look for 4,400 nice round number. Getting below 43.65 area, you could see a pretty fast move down to 43.40, and ultimately 4,300 area. This is going to be a lot of support. So that's going to be a buy area at 4,300, right? Just like it was. So here's the 43.40, and then we have our line at 43.04. This line has been here for a long time, and you can go back and fact check me if you want, but look at my charts from 2 or 3 weeks ago. 43.04 has been on our chart for a long time, and sure enough, we got up to it. It was resistance. I thought, great, we have a double top, we're going to pull back, but sure enough, they just broke it overnight. And so it would make sense to fake some people out, break 4,300, and then rip it up to 45.50. That would make sense to me. So keeping that in mind, the next 2 days might be a lot of junk. Let's take a look at some stocks. Stocks that I missed. U was an excellent move. Look how this number worked. 40 35.70. It came down to it. I think I said I would like a pullback to 33.75, but we didn't even get there, which means it's extremely bullish. So let's go ahead and start adding lines to this one, and we'll try to buy this one again. If this one, for some reason, breaks this trend line here, you know, it could fail. So we'll keep that kind of trend line as our stop loss. But let's take a look back and see what we have going on here, and I'll kind of show you how I make my lines. So we're on the 4-hour chart. Obviously these are pivots, but inside the pivot we have, well, here's where we closed today. We closed above this breakdown candle, so that would be technically bullish. But we also have right here, right here, check this out. This 4-hour reversal right here, we were going up, they stopped it and reversed it. That's a line. So the close of this candle was 41.09. The open of this candle was 41.09. So we're going to put a line at 41.09. This is how I make my lines, right? So now you guys know how I make my lines. And you can see right here, they came up to 41 even was the high of this candle, and they reversed. So anywhere this 10-cent spread, you know, you could even give it the high of this candle would be 41.30. So anywhere between 41.30 and 41 should be resistance. And if you get above that, if we were to open, so we're at 41.13 right now, if you open above that, then all of these shorts are going to be in the red, and it's going to rip it higher. Right, so let's look at where they're going to go from here. And then if you look back here, see 41.09, this area has been significant. So, look at this, 41.09, 41.30 area, right, 41.39. So 41 to 41.30 is an area of resistance. It was also an area of support. So let's look left and see where are they going to take it. You had a buyer from this to this, right? This one kind of just chugged through. We'll look at an hourly chart, but from here, 41 to 46.50. Right here, 41, push it up to 46.50. So where's that going to go? 46.50, right? I mean, to be exact, if you want to be exact, let's get rid of some of this stuff here, and we'll narrow it down. Say, okay. So the high of this candle before it reversed was, or the close of this candle was 46.37. This breakdown candle high was 46.27. So let's say 46.30 to be safe. 46.30, what's the high of this one? 46.39. So anywhere 46.30, that would be a good target. So you want to get out at like 46. But this is a trade for tomorrow, right? They get above here, they're going to here. Everything is a test of numbers. If they get to this line, they're going to go to this line. If they get to this line and get rejected, they're going to go to this line. If they got here, they went here, 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 from there to there, right? They're just testing numbers. So, if we open above this line and 41 stays support, they're going to go to 46.30 this week. If this is resistance, we come up to it, you know, we can see a failure and go to 35.70 and play puts. But you keep that one on watch. Put a line at 41.10-ish and 46.30-ish, right? SPCE, I've been pounding the table on this one for a while because I want you guys to look at the weekly chart. So obviously we had this this bear trend for a long time, right? Basically, and then they came down, they retested it, and they bounced. And then we have this day, and this is where I said, hey, we need to start thinking about going long, remember? But this day was extremely important this week, this day, I think it was a day. Yeah, see how this was resistance, now it's support, and then they couldn't even come back down to retest it here. Let's look at this chart, and I'll show you why I think it's important. Because all of this, see how this was like breakout volume? They broke out of this thing, and then now they have reversal volume, and they couldn't even get down there. So to me, and I could be wrong because you just put your stop loss, if you really want to do it, just put it below there. I'll probably put my stop at 30 or 375. But anyway, put your stop below there and just buy every dip that you get. Because this to me is a higher low on huge volume that shows me all the shorts are trapped. That this big seller move, this was the last remaining institutional sellers that wanted to get out, and they're done. So there's no more sellers, no more institutional sellers. The last of them got out, and they couldn't even break the low. That's how heavy the buyers are in this area, right? So we're going to start watching this one. If we do get a pullback to 75, 375, I might actually just add. But keep your eye on SPCE. Nobody is talking about it right now. Everybody, I posted on stock twits or tweets, whatever it's called, and everybody just laughs at me. So I could be totally wrong. But I also want to say on the first one, to say this looks pretty legit. You've got a major area of support down here, a reversal off the trend line, breaking out, retest, and bounce. You have a higher low on huge volume. All the sellers are out. If we break this trend line here, we're going to 1645. That was our last major area of liquidity. And in order to get in and out of this stock, they're going to have to go to the $16 area. So, look for anywhere from $14.50 to $16 from $4.40 today. And interestingly, it was green when the market was selling off. This was still in a bull pattern. So keep this one on your list. I really like it long. Interestingly, on this weekly chart, so if you see, you saw kind of how we had the breakout retest area thing. Interestingly, DPRO, which I also really like, is the exact same pattern. And it's doing pretty well. Like, we got in down here on the trend line, I think at 88 cents above the trend line, but above this break right here. And you've got my famous shoe pattern. Go to the daily. It's kind of like the last remaining sellers come down to do a double bottom and bounce. So DPRO looks good. I'm only on shares because it's under $1, or it's $1.18. So options, until it really doesn't make sense to get options, because it's going to be almost the same amount of money to get shares, and then you don't have any decay, right? For 100 shares, it's $118 versus an option would be $100. So it's just not really worth it to me. But watch this one, because our high on this one was $14.50. So DPRO, I really like that long. So here's what I'm saying. All these stocks look good long, not short. The only one short that I found was Google, and I closed this one today red because we sold off hard twice and they bought it up twice. So, I kind of missed this move. That would have been a nice move, because we had this sell-off. They came all the way back up, so all these buyers could get out at break even, and so they sold off again. But now they're kind of just holding this bear flag, and we have a double failure right here. So I don't know if we're even going to get down to 122.50, but that might be an interesting place to buy for a squeeze. That's really the only stock short that I like. Everything else looks long, and Apple. Apple might starting to get tired, but even then, I mean, you have so much support off this prior high. I think they can just keep going, because remember we tried to short it down here, and like they ended up just breaking out. So you would say if you were expecting a move from there to here, you can get an equal opposite move from there to there, and we'll see 250 potentially. Not right away, maybe on earnings or something. But so that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, in the long run, you really zoom out on Apple, there's really nothing that wrong with the chart since we broke out. Like, it just consolidated for 2 years, and now it's ready to go on another move higher, right? And just keep going. So I don't know if they're ready for a market crash anymore. We'll know when the market crash happens, because we'll just wake up one day and everything will be down 5%. But I think people are starting to get bullish enough that they can invalidate the pullback. If you look at this here and say, okay, if that was a 50% retracement from the bottom, then 61.8 would have been here, and they've already, they've gotten higher than that. The 78%, they've already gotten higher than that. Now we're just working towards 100% retracement, and we could put in a double top possibly, but I mean, until the S&P gets below like 4,200 again, really it's just bullish, unfortunately. Fortunately for everybody who has a retirement. I'd like for you guys to send me some other ideas, because I kind of get stuck in my own ideas. And gold, originally we wanted to short it. I was thinking short, but because we have a lower low and an equal high. But at the same time, if you look, that's on the weekly. If you go down to the daily, really you've just got a retest of the breakout area. Like, we had a small run from 178. This is GLD. Let me go to GLD. But GLD, like 178. Anything under 180, it bought it back up. That became resistance. So now we would expect for this area to become support. So, I mean, gold looks better long. And I guess you could say it was a bear flag-ish. It's an ugly looking bear flag. But, I really think they're just pulling back for the next run higher. Because remember how quickly and with so much motivation they bought this up. I feel like if they just come back down a little bit, they don't even have to come down to here, because we have buyers right here where we closed today. This could be the new bottom. So, I mean, that could be, just a fake out and then rip it back higher. So GLD looks good long with a really tight stop. GLD, your actual numbers here would be, see how they're holding? They're kind of holding this area, like 180. So, to me that looks like a pretty much triple bottom, and when they break out of this little wedge thing, I can't draw, but to break out over this wedge, they're just going to keep on higher, right? They're consolidating for a larger move, and keep GLD on your list for a wedge break like that kind of thing. If they break down, we need it to retest before we get in short. I don't like just getting in on the break, and it doesn't always work. So keep that idea. And if they did break it and then got above our trend line here, that would scream higher to this 188 area. 188 calls. Oh, that was some big bank has like 188 calls. So I think that's expired now, but look how they ran it up to 188. That was interesting. So keep this one in mind. Gold long, USO, oil stocks. We started playing around with Oxy. First, let's look at oil before we get into Oxy. So I read this interesting newsletter. Some guy that's really smart and gets millions of dollars for writing newsletters wrote this article about how oil is about to crash, right? And we know better than that because the Federal Reserve seems to be pumping the markets. So if that's the case, oil's not going to crash. If you look at this line at $60, every time they get to it, they rip it higher. They broke down here and they ripped it back up. That means somebody, and by somebody I mean probably like the US government or Saudi Arabia, or like one of these other countries, every time it gets below $60, they buy oil. It's interesting to me because if you go way back here, and part of the reason the futures might have crashed was because during COVID, was because we pulled back and we didn't bounce at 60. We opened below it, and so the bottom just fell out. But if you zoom in or zoom out, we were in this $60 area last time. We ran from 60 to 90. Over here, when we had that big oil freak out, we broke out, we retested it, and then ran from 60 to like 87, right? So I'm kind of expecting the same move. Even from here, we got a pretty substantial move there. So now we have a triple/quadruple bottom on oil, and just like gold, which oil and gold kind of move together, if it breaks this wedge, this downward wedge, we're going to get another move back to 90, 87, 90 area. So I took Oxy, and interestingly, it gapped up this morning and then sold back off. I was surprised. But if you look at Oxy, we have a very similar situation here. Like this area, this whole area is support, right? Like this whole area. So we got down into this area and they ran it up to 72. We got down into this area, they ran it up to 76, 67, so we might need to pull down a little bit more. It might be an early, just like with everything else I do. But, keep Oxy on your list, because now we have this bull flag going. I mean, it's a bull flag. Look at this. If you go to the weekly, I mean, that's a freaking bull flag. You got a bottom there, your flagpole, your wedge. It's going to be another equal opposite move to this, right? So retest this 100 area, 103 top. I know I don't have a pen. I'm just using my finger to draw. So sorry. But that's a pretty nice looking bull flag on Oxy. So that's why we got into that one. At minimum, I would expect to run up to the $70 area. I think we're in 62.50 calls, so just to try to retest this trend line and break out. But if you want to get leaps on Oxy, probably be a good idea. So oil, Oxy, XOM, ExxonMobil, which we've had a line on this for a while and I missed that move. But, I mean, so we could potentially pull back a little bit farther. But I do like the idea, just like Space, just like DPRO, we've pulled back on large volume, we came back again to retest it, and we put in a higher low on some volume. So potentially, we'll see another move higher. You zoom out on the weekly, it's already at new highs, or was, not is, was this year. So, until, and here's one, you guys were trading back in 2020, do you remember this pattern? That was election night pattern. Look at this. I just now noticed this. And then what it do? It just ran for an entire year. So XOM could be a really good long-term long position if you want to do that one. So again, I don't see anything bearish at the time. Like, everything looks bullish. And maybe they're just going to rug pull and we're going to wake up on Tuesday next week and we'll be down 5%. But at this point, I'm kind of just, with everybody else, let's just keep buying the dips. Tesla, I've been screaming about this one for months. So let's zoom back in on the daily here. We played this, remember? I said a failed pattern is always stronger than the initial pattern. Well, that's freaking strong, dude. Like, that's unheard of. We got to keep looking for these kinds of patterns. But anyway, so our idea was to come up to here, which we did. They faked us out, came down, this became support, and then they ripped it. They broke above that now, and they've come to here. So our idea originally was just to go from 160 to 198, right? Now, if you look left, we have institutional buyers from 258 to 313, 256, 258 area to 313, 3 times, at least 3 times, plus your little top of the market here. But you have buyers here. You have buyers at the top of the market. That's crazy to me. So what are we expecting? Some kind of consolidation possibly over here, or just some bogus news. We open up here and just run there in like 2 days. So if you want to go ahead and get calls for Tesla next week, you get around the 290 calls and hold it to 313, that'd be a heck of a payday. And nobody is expecting us to go higher. Everybody is saying, like I saw a report at the end of the day, like Tesla finally put in a top, because for the first time in, I don't know how many days this was. Let's see how many days it put in a higher high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because it was still higher. 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 days in a row it put in a higher high. Today is the first day it didn't put in a higher high. And look where it closed. 256.77. Close of day was 256.79, within 2 pennies of our number, guys. So possibly what could they do? They could come down, refill this red candle, and bounce and go to 313. They don't have to. They could open above this red candle tomorrow and just rip your face off. So I'm making this video on Wednesday night so that we can start thinking about positions on Thursday and Friday to get into next week. But yeah, keep Tesla on your mind. Jake mentioned plug this morning. I don't really see that one. as much. It could just run with EV. That one does kind of look like a top off of prior pivot area. So I don't know. I don't like plug. Let's look at Lucid. Lucid's not moving. That's interesting. Had ending volume here. Kind of the same thing as Space. We had there. They had a nice blow off here, but I don't really see. I mean, you had an ending move here, but they've already put in a lower low. So I don't know. Maybe you can play some kind of wedge breakout, but I don't know. I don't like Lucid. Rivian, kind of same thing. I don't really like that. If it gets above, watch it. Actually, yeah, watch this one if it gets above 1575. That prior pivot there. If it does that, then we could get a pretty nice squeeze in a day or two. So keep this one on your stock watch list long. RIVN. I wouldn't get in yet until we're above there. But hopefully that helps you guys. If you have questions or if you have stocks you want me to look at, let me know. Look at Nvidia today. I was completely wrong about that. 429, 430. Took out this high already, and it closed at the high of day. This sucker is going to go to 451.59, which was our other number, which was a 1.618% retracement from the high, I believe. Look at this trend line. You can watch this. When we get up here to 465, watch for reversal there. If we get to 460, within the next 3 days, then it would be a short, because you would get there so fast and then get such a rejection right there that we could get a pretty good move down. So keep that one on your list. Nvidia, we're probably going to miss it. The move would have been today or yesterday. If somebody was in 410 calls, I hope you won. We were trying to short it on this line and they just took it out. Sometimes I gotta zoom out. Sometimes I get stuck in these 5-minute charts and I say, we were right here and I was like, guys, they hit our number, and when they come back to our number, get puts. And they did. Like, our numbers work, but then they just got above it, and then they had their sell-off after I got out. And that was a nice sell-off, but they didn't even touch our number. They just bounced out of nowhere, got above it, and that became support. I should have seen that at the end of the day and taken calls. But, and then this bounce, that was, all these dip buyers yesterday, they just still had their orders in, so it just ripped. Let's see what this guy's doing. Snow. Oh, what do you know? Another one I missed. Watch Snow. This one's interesting. We really missed that one. Earnings. They dropped right into our number and then ripped. Now you see what I'm talking about? How bullish the market looks right now? It's crazy. Watch this. That's trend line. I don't know, that might not be a valid trend line since they broke it during earnings. But, you just take out this top here. Might have a little bit more up here at 203. So still that's a 20-point move from 180 to 200. So watch Snow over 185. That could be a heck of a move. Kind of a gap here that they never filled at 250. Oh, MSTR. So let's go look at Bitcoin because it's crashing right now. Everybody's talking about how bearish Bitcoin is. Now, I think what I say, like when it gets down to this area, buy it because it's going to rip higher. Like, let's see how far it goes down. But anyway, Bitcoin supposedly somebody's selling or whatever. But to me, that looks like, you know, it's just a bear flag. It's just a bull flag that's consolidating a little bit longer than we thought it would, which just means it's going to have an even bigger move higher. So let's look at this here. Watch this. Here's a prior breakout area. We came up to this number and rejected. Came up to this number and rejected. Broke above it, came back, retested. I mean, that's the lowest risk entry you could get, because if it goes, you know, much lower than it is right now, you know, you get much below, you know, 24,845 or whatever, you know, then you know that breakout's going to fail. But if it bounces, you caught the bottom. So Bitcoin looks good to me. Let's take a look over here and say, okay, last time we were down at this number, we ripped it back up to 31,000. Over here, you know, and actually you might even just be safe and go down to this 2,400. But from 2,400 they ripped it to 40,000. Right, their first pivot was this candle right here. So they went from 24 to 28 to 29. So, you know, and then we had this one ripped back up too. So, you know, anywhere in this general area down to 24,000 to 25,000, I'm going to be buying Bitcoin, and I'm going to be buying stocks like Coin. Everybody's talking about Coin is going to fail, but to me, I don't know why these are all crooked like, but to me, somebody is saying anytime we get below 51, they want to buy it. This is a huge buy right here. They bought it up, they bought it up, they bought it up. They let it fall with probably the rest of the market, and they immediately bought it up with no brakes. Like, they just put the gas only, right? Bought it right back up. Got down here, gapped it up big time. Got down here on whatever news that was, probably bankruptcy news or something, and they closed it above there. So here's our number on this one. We'll keep this one on watch. Oh, and look, today, where did it reverse? 51.60, 51.56 was the low of the day, and it ripped higher. It ripped back higher and closed the day green. So despite what the news is saying, this area is a buy area, and they're going to rip it back up. So let's go ahead and get in Coin if you want to for next week. I'll look at the options tomorrow and alert that one. MSTR, I took a super lotto because, you know, if you look at this area of support, I mean, check out this move. The same thing, so this moves with Bitcoin, right? But that was a monster move from 270 to 550. Now, of course, it failed right here. That probably failed when SPY failed. But if we get above 350, we're going to 525, 550 area, because there's institutional buyers from our purple area right down here up to here. So that's why I took 405, because that's in the middle, and it was like what, $8 or something like that. I don't remember. Look at this bull flag here. Looks just like Coin, right? But it's been deeper. And now it's coming back to retest this general breakout area. And yeah, I really like it. Maybe we're in too early. I'm always in too early, but I mean, to me, it looks like we're trying to catch the bottom. and we get a major rip higher from here. At least to 350. So if you want to try 350 calls with a stop below 260, I mean, that's a pretty legit move. You can see how fast this thing moves up. I mean, it's just crazy to me. If you look at it, if you just look at it like this, it's zoomed out, or even on the weekly. I mean, to me, it looks like they wrote it up. They spent all this time pulling all the way back down. We had a double bottom, and it's just going up to its next run, right? Look left. This was got all the way up to 3,300 at one point. This is a logarithmic. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be in that? Right? See what I'm talking about? It's like a GameStop move over there. And here we've got a pretty much bull flag going for the next rip higher. I think Bitcoin's going to the moon. Just my opinion. Coinbase will go with it. Riot still looks good. Look at this. Look at this. Where's our line at here? It's probably like $10. I don't know, it's stupid. $9.95, $10, whatever. But look at this. 10. I got 10 to 25. 10 to higher than 25. 10 to higher than 25. 10 to higher than 25. That was resistance. Now we're back at 10. I would get in Riot long. I really like Riot. That was 2012, 2013, 2014, 2017, 2021, 2023. I mean, patterns repeat themselves. That's why they're called patterns, right? Anyway, so yeah, keep that one on. Put that one in your long-term portfolio. Riot, SPCE, DPro, MSTR, and whatever else I said. Thanks, guys.